In the Mafia, breaking the code of silence can be deadly. It's a lesson enforcer John Veasey learns the hard way.
There ain't no heroes. There's only two kind of prisoners, we know that. The ones that cooperated and the ones that wish they did.
As he works his way up the ranks of the Philly mob.
Then they're telling me about you got to give the respect and everything is going to be good, they got a lot of money.
Murder earns him a place as a made man.
And I put my hands for the one that he tried to lean back, but the bullets were coming. Boom, 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 boom.
But when he finds out how the mob really works.
One came out front, one's in my neck, one they cut out the back of my head.
Veasey breaks his ties with his Mafia family.
I used to be the hunter, now I was being hunted.
A decision that could cost him his life.
I'm not proud to be a rat, but I am a rat.
Philadelphia, 1992. The city of brotherly love is being torn apart by a vicious mob war. For the next year, bullets fly in the streets of Philadelphia as Mafia violence escalates, threatening the safety of law-abiding citizens. The Philly mob is in turmoil, split by a bloody power struggle. On one side of the battle is John Stamfa, boss of the city's well-known crime family. Stamfa is an old-school Sicilian. His Mafia empire is built on illegal gambling, drug trafficking, loan sharking, and extortion.
John Stamfa extorted restaurant owners, he extorted nightclub owners, all legitimate businessmen. He ordered young men to kill for him.
Barry Gross was an assistant U.S. attorney at the time. His specialty, the Philadelphia Cosa Nostra. In the 1990s, he's well aware of the crime family's internal struggle for power, brought on by John Stamfa's rival, Joey Merlino. Merlino, a former underboss's son, wants Stamfa's empire.
There was two John Stamfas. There was one that betrayed the family guy, and then there was the one that was ruthless and didn't care about nobody. He was an old Sicilian guy, and he had a lot of mob history behind him.
Joey Merlino was John Stamfa's rival for leadership. Joey Merlino grew up with his father being involved in the mob. He thought it was his birthright to take over the Philadelphia mob.
For years, the FBI has been trying to take down the Philadelphia mob. They're hoping to build the biggest Mafia case in history, a case that will grip an entire city and leave the Philly mob in tatters. The linchpin to their entire investigation is a former street thug named John Veasey.
I started doing stick-ups when I was probably 15 years old. When I was doing my stick-ups, I targeted anybody that had money. But drug dealers were easy, so I would walk in the house, the first thing I'd do was blow the TV apart. Boom. And say, listen, it's a stick-up, don't make it a homicide. I'm gonna leave here with your drugs, or I'm gonna leave here with your drugs and you dead. Like, I'd shoot first and then tell you it's a robbery. I didn't go for talking and negotiation. I just wanted what I wanted and I wanted out of there.
John Veasey's father died when he was very young. He was dirt poor. He was a junkie. He was in and out of jail. He just had an awful life.
I was a junkie for about 14 years of my life. I mean, really hardcore for about 14 years of it. I was homeless because of drugs. I ate out of garbage cans. I did all that. You know, I was that messed up. When things were tough, that's what I did, and my brother and sister would come and get me out of it.
John Veasey grew up on the tough streets of South Philadelphia. By the age of 16, he had a propensity for violence, strong-arming drug dealers and robbing mobsters. After almost beating a man to death, he serves 11 months in prison. At the age of 27, Veasey is released. His criminal career is about to go big time.
He came out of jail. He ended up getting a job working construction. The owner of the company was John Stamfa's brother-in-law. That's how he was spotted. The underboss under Stamfa saw Veasey, saw what a tough kid he was, and recruited him.
I'm at work one day and they come and ask me, do I know Joey Merlino? I said, yeah, I know him.
Stamfa has decided to get rid of his rival and gives the word that Merlino must go.
I know Joey Merlino my whole life. I mean, my brother grew up with him, his friends with him. They said, would you kill him? I said, you got a gun? They said, yeah. I said, give me a gun and give me some money. I'm in. It was like that quick.
Basically came to him, made a sign of a gun with his hand and said, are you willing to do this for $300? John said yes.
Even though I knew Joey Molino my whole life and my brother hung out with him, I didn't have a problem because it was about the money. I sold my soul for money, basically. Let's call it that. That's what it is, basically. I sold it to be a junkie earlier in life, and later I sold to the mob.
August 5th, 1993. John Veasey's taste for violence promises to make him powerful in the mob, but it will eventually lead to his downfall. That morning, Veasey meets up with another Stamfa enforcer. They have two targets, Joey Merlino and his number 2 guy, Mike Cinglini.
That morning I got picked up. We had the guns in the car already. I said, look, why don't we just shoot him at the hangout? And they're like, you know where his hangout is? I said, yeah, it's right on the corner of my street. So we see them, and I said, let's just drive up and shoot him. As we get up there, I see my brother Billy's on the corner. I mean, he was friends with these guys. I mean, Dad was very, very close.
Oh, this is my brother.
My brother Billy was always like the father figure, more so than a brother figure. Billy was my oldest brother, and I'm the baby of the family. I used to idolize him. Did I love him? Absolutely. I idolized everything he did. No matter where I was, no matter what I did, if I said his name, it seemed like he showed up to help. Always get me out of whatever I was involved in. I mean, I didn't expect to see him. Was a surprise maybe that particular moment.
Veasey is relieved when his brother Billy walks away. Moments later, he makes another pass at his prey, eager to carry out his first mob hit.
So we drove back around. I jumped in the back seat right behind the driver. We pulled right up on him. We put the gun out the window like this. We just started shooting. I mean, it was pretty much point-blank range. We shot Michael. Joey, I think, got hit 3 times, screaming and screaming for help.
Joseph Merlino was wounded in the rear end. Michael Cinglini was shot. Bullet entered his chest, and he died shortly thereafter.
Veasey flees the scene, reveling in his entry into the world of a mafia hitman.
I can't describe it in words, but it's actually better than any high that I ever had on drugs. I mean, it's a great feeling to know you accomplished what you were set out to accomplish.
The violent attack gives mob boss John Stamfa an upper hand in an escalating mob conflict. But for Veasey, it's a job opportunity.
At the end of the day, you're living that life, and that's what you want to do, get as many murders as you can so you can keep raising your stock up.
But as Merlino recovers from his wounds, he tells Veasey's brother Billy about the shooting, and Billy confronts his brother.
The day I shot Joey, as soon as he got out of the hospital, the first person he sent for was my brother. My brother called me, he's like, I just wanted to meet Joey, and he says you shot him. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Veasey lies to his brother to hide his crime.
You know, I didn't shoot nobody. What do you mean I shot Joe? Who told you this? He said, Joe, I said, well, I'll go with you. I'll go over Joe. He said, no, you're not going. I said, why not? I'll go tell him. He's crazy. I didn't shoot him. I didn't want my brother. I was afraid of my brother. I would have told him, yes, I would have shot him again if I could have gotten his house.
Thinking he's covered his tracks with his brother Billy, Veasey embraces his role as a mob enforcer. His willingness to kill propels him up the ranks of Stamfa's mafia army.
He became, in a sense, his go-to guy for violence.
Part of my job in the Stanford organization while I was working for John Stanford was not only as a hitman, but also to help collect money, extortion. That was the biggest way we made money, was through intimidation of people. If they needed some money from somebody, I would torture the person to get the money.
Veasey's savage violence eventually earns him the mob's ultimate sign of respect. Stamfa makes him a made man.
When you're made, you get a lot of benefits. I mean, you become part of the mafia. You become part of La Cosa Nostra. You're in for life. You take this little oath, you guys join arms, and you become a family. I mean, that's a great feeling to be made. I mean, you're part of something that's forever.
A few days later, Merlino's men fire back, shooting Stampa's son, who takes a shot to the face, but survives. For Stamfa, The attack on his son means all-out war.
John Stanfa wanted everyone on Joey Merlino's side dead. That was the order. If you saw one of these guys, you were to kill him.
Stanfa's next target is Frank Baldino, a man he suspects was involved in the shooting of his son. He orders Veasey to take him out.
We waited outside for him to get done eating. We were parked directly across the street.
But this time, Veasey experiences a rare moment of conscience and hesitates before going through with Stanfa's orders.
Ever since I was a kid, he was my mom's friend. He was my sister's. I mean, he's friends with my whole family. I mean, this guy was legitimately a good guy.
But Veasey's allegiance to his new family wins out.
So as soon as he walked out to get in his car, that's when we run to the car. And I said, Frank. And I put my hand through the window. He tried to lean back, but the bullets were coming. 3 times in his head. And then I put it on his chest and shot some more. There was nothing left of him. Frank Baldino was a guy that I do regret killing.
While the brutal murder of Baldino forces Joey Merlino into hiding, it has the opposite effect on Veasey. With each successful killing, his arrogance grows, and Veasey begins to believe he's invincible.
Veasey got out of control. He started bragging. He got a tattoo with a gun and 2 spent bullets.
Veasey violates mafia rules, shaking down and beating up his fellow mobsters. Barry Gross was assistant U.S. attorney at the time.
Stanfa was afraid that he was bringing too much attention to himself.
After the Baldino murder, from that night on, everything started really going downhill for me at that point. I mean, like I was telling Stanfa, this kid's crazy, he's unmanageable, we can't control him, he's not listening to nobody. Now you have everyone going against me.
John Veasey was about to find out the true cost of doing business with the mafia. According to his brother Billy, Stanfa has put out a contract on Veasey.
He wants to kill you. Why don't you just go to the feds?
He said, man, you gotta turn yourself in. I said, what are you talking about?
You want me to rat?
Billy sees what his little brother cannot. John must become a government witness or die.
He started crying, and, I never seen my brother cry before. And he tells me we gotta go to the feds. He's got a meeting set up. So I thought about it for a minute. They want to kill me? I got 2 choices. They can kill me, or I can cooperate, get a deal, and go home. I mean, I'm weighing, why go to the pen when you can send a friend, That's the way I looked at it.
December 30th, 1993, John Veasey and Billy Veasey sat down with myself, other prosecutors, and the FBI agents, and just opened up and told us what he was involved in.
It's the big break the FBI is looking for. An informer willing to fill in the blanks in their case against the Philly mob. And the key to convicting Stanfa. But Veasey's confession is not enough to put Stanfa away. He agrees to gather more evidence for the FBI while wearing a wire. As part of his deal, Veasey knows he'll have to face the consequences of his own crimes.
We made it clear to him that he was going to have to plead guilty to racketeering, to his involvement in the murders, to his involvement in the attempted murders, to his involvement in extortion, and the judge would decide his eventual sentence.
But on his very first day of being an informant, Veasey pays the price. Word is already out that he's cooperating with the feds.
It was the end of the day. He was done working with the FBI. He went home.
And I never made it.
2 Stanfa associates contact Veasey. They claim to have a new business proposition, something that will smooth things over with the family. Believing they don't know about his FBI meeting, Veasey goes along.
I look back now, man, I was the dumbest person in the whole universe, probably. I know there's a contract on me, and I know where it's coming from, but I still didn't believe it. It just never registered that somebody would shoot me. I didn't think anyone had the heart to actually shoot me. I used to be the hunter, now I was being hunted. I was the prey. He said, bye, John. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, I can still hear them shots. 3 shots. I put my hand on the back of my head like this. I see the blood in my hand. I'm like, you just shoot me?
Shoot him again!
And I turned around, he shot me again in the chest. And he started pistol whipping me. So I went after him now. Started hitting him, bam. Bam, bam. And then a knife shows up. Knife falls on the floor, and I grabbed it, and I just kind of reached up, got him in the eye, and pulled it way back here. I run out of the building. Somebody called the ambulance and took me to the hospital.
Veasey's attackers barely escape with their lives and are ordered to stand trial on aggravated assault, conspiracy, and weapons charges. Miraculously, Veasey sustains only minor injuries.
One came out front, one's in my neck, one they cut out the back of my head, and I got one in my ribcage. I took a stab wound here, one here to cut the side of my finger here, and then I had a bunch of cuts all over the place. And my brother took it really, really bad. He came up to the hospital, and he's telling me, man, I'm sorry, I love you. But I'm like, man, forget it. You know, no big deal. I was watching a football game a day later.
Only 3 days after taking several shots to the head, John Veasey walks out of the hospital.
At the FBI office, John just told us exactly what happened and was even more committed to cooperating and testifying against John Stanfa after he was shot.
Nearly 2 years after the attempt on his life, Veasey is about to testify in court against the Philadelphia mob. But that morning, unknown assailants target the one person Veasey cares about, his brother Billy.
My brother was killed, let me take 1 second, all right, please? He was leaving his house. Two shooters came and ambushed the car. My brother would do anything for anybody. He was always there for me, and it created such a big vacuum in my family's world. I can call them up, I can go visit them, I can be in South Philadelphia, and they'll still have an excuse why they can't come see me.
When John Veasey heard the news, he quite naturally was destroyed by it.
I just broke out. I mean, I don't think I ever cried that much in my life. I don't think I ever felt any pain, even close to that.
The trial of mob boss John Stanfa began in September 1995 and lasted for 2 months. For 3 days, Veasey's testimony gripped the city of Philadelphia.
My experience in that courtroom watching John Veasey testify was clearly the most riveting testimony I've ever seen in a courtroom.
Veasey describes Stanfa's involvement in extortion and illegal gambling activities, as well as linking Stanfa to the murders of Mike Cinglini and Frank Baldino.
After the testimony of John Veasey, John Stanfa and a number of associates are in jail for the rest of their lives.
I can tell you this, I felt really good when I was in trial and I got to tell the truth, because I didn't need to lie. If I'm going to rat, at least I know I ratted right. I mean, I don't want to be a half a rat. I don't want to say, well, I ratted, but they're coming home. Hell no, they're not coming home.
John Veasey's testimony against John Stanfa and the other members of John Stanfa's crew was crippling to the Philadelphia Mafia.
Stanfa and 20 other high-ranking members of the mob were convicted and sent to prison. Stanfa is currently serving 5 consecutive life sentences and has been replaced as the boss of the Philly mob. Today, the criminal organization reportedly has only 20 remaining members. John Veasey also went to prison after confessing to 2 murders. In 2000, he was released and given a new identity in the Federal Witness Protection Program.
I got a job cleaning toilets. I was getting like, I think, $8, $9 an hour.
His new life isn't what he imagined when he first agreed to work for the mafia.
And you got me, a street kid, don't know anything about the mob, don't know about the rules. Then they're telling me about, we're going to do this thing for you, and you got to get the respect, and everything is going to be good. I got a lot of money. I says, I already got respect. I ain't worried about that. I don't know what this is, and I don't want it.
Members of the mob care about nobody. They care about themselves. Do they care about John Veasey? No. They cared about him, and that he was a machine. He could kill for him, he could extort, he could make money. They didn't care for him. They don't care for anybody.
Today, John Veasey lives in an undisclosed location with his wife and children.
However it ends, it's going to end. I ain't going to worry about it. I don't think about it. I don't go pray on it.
Veasey realizes the empty promises of the mob led him into a life of crime he now regrets.
No, I'm not proud I was in the mafia. I wasn't proud that I got made in the mafia, then or now. I was an evil person. I'm not going to try to say I wasn't. Am I a bad person now? Absolutely not.